Ms. No.
Mr. Chairman Smith and member of the committee, thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of my family and many other Vietnamese American families that are similarly situated. My name is Holly Ngo. I escaped from Vietnam by boat in December 1978 and arrived at a refugee camp in Philippines. I was resettled as a refugee to France in 1979 and stayed in Paris until September 1980. I then joined my family in the U.S. in October 1980 and became a U.S. citizen in 1985. I live in Garden Grove, California, and I'm currently working for Avery Dennison in Brea, California, as a senior PeopleSoft technical developer. My mother, Kim Hoang, fled Vietnam by boat in May 1979 and stayed in a refugee camp in Malaysia. She arrived in the U.S. in 1980. She acquired U.S. citizenship in September 1996. My father stayed behind in Vietnam until 1991, and he joined our family in the U.S. in 1991 and became U.S. citizen in January 2000. On behalf of our family, I'm seeking congressional intervention in a matter that affects our family and many Vietnamese Americans. In 1979, one of our houses was placed under state management because we did not live in the house. In 2003, the government of Socialist Republic of Vietnam nationalized our land and our house. And this is the English translation of the title of our real property in Vietnam. And this is the bill of sale in 1970. And this is worth at least 800,000 US dollars now in Vietnam. In 1977, the Vietnamese government forced my family to deposit 2.384 kilograms of gold at the National Bank. They have not returned that gold, which is worth at least 135,882 at the present market value. And this is the receipt of our deposit dated February 1, 1977. And this is the original. In other words, the Vietnamese government is unlawfully withholding access of U.S. citizens with no intention to return it. And my parents also has a second house in Vietnam. When my father sold it in 1990 to migrate to the U.S., the government kept 50% of the sale process because my mother was in the U.S. at that time. They said they kept it for my mother, but they never returned the money to her. And at that time, it was approximately 5,000 US dollars in 1990. And this is the receipt. They said that they keep 50% for my mother. On September 10, 2012, I sent a letter to Senator Barbara Boxer, Senator Dianne Feinstein, Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez, Ambassador Ron Kurt of the Office of the United States Trade Representative, and Mr. Hong Ju Ko, the legal advisor, Department of State, to ask them to raise this issue to the Vietnamese government at every possible occasion, encouraging the Vietnamese government to send delegation to meet with our family and our legal counsel to discuss the return or the fair compensation of our property. I believe that my mother claim meet all the three standard criteria that the Department of State used to access the merit of similar claim. I have spent the past decade to seek local remedy. The Vietnamese government will not entertain any claim for the return of land or residential housing already placed under state management, such as the case of our family. U.S. law is very clear that when a foreign nation expropriates property of the U.S. citizen, the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961 stipulates that the president shall suspend all assistance to a country, the government of which has expropriated the property of the U.S. citizen, and the U.S. government will vote against loan to that government from international financial institutions. Congress is in the position to demand that our State Department apply U.S. law passed by Congress. Please forward our case and the case of so many other Vietnamese Americans to the legal advisor for the Department of State and the U.S. Trade Representative and ask them, number one, what are their procedures and criteria they would use to access the merit of our claim against the Vietnamese government? Number two, what is the threshold to apply the Trade Act of 1974 regarding not granting the generalized system of preference to the government that has expropriated property of the U.S. citizen? Number three, what is the threshold to apply the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961 regarding the suspension of foreign assistance to government that have expropriated property of the U.S. citizen? I know that the Clinton administration intervened on behalf of the American and successfully secured over U.S. dollars, like $200 million U.S. dollars in compensation for Americans whose property has been expropriated by the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. We expect the Obama administration to show the same treatment towards Americans of Vietnamese origin. And we expect equal protection of rights and property of all Americans. However, this is not the case. Therefore, I'm very grateful for this opportunity to appeal to our Congress to do what is right to protect the right and the property of the U.S. citizen. Thank you very much.
Ms. No, thank you very much for your testimony and for asking such pertinent questions of the U.S. Department of State and of the administration. I think such a violation of your rights and the rights of your mother, as you pointed out, cannot go unanswered. So thank you so very much.